Breath of the Wild was a different type of Zelda game in many ways compared to the many Legends of Zelda that came before, including game mechanics, the way the lore was delivered, and by dropping the familiar Zelda formula, like dungeons, bosses, pendants, the Master Sword, more dungeons, more spiritual MacGuffins, and then Ganon, and having a sprawling world adventure rather than a linear epic. Another thing that was slightly different than usual was Ganon. He was depicted as a disastrous entity, like a raging storm bent on destruction. Most iterations of Ganon are clever, tactical, and obsessed with gaining power, so he can rule over Hyrule himself. Though he has been portrayed as a mindless beast before, those were usually botched resurrections that failed to revive him in his complete form. Not that I think Breath of the Wild's version was completely mindless, just more wrathful and catastrophic than normal, seeming to want to destroy Hyrule more than control it himself. But it seems all but confirmed that Ganon is coming back in the sequel to Breath of the Wild as the Gerudo King, the clever, deceitful mastermind that we love to hate. But in both the trailers, Ganondorf is depicted resembling an undead version of himself, or mummified, or not complete in some way. And I think the state that he's currently in is going to have a lot to do with his motives this time around. But before we get into that, if you love Zelda, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any new Zelda content like this. Back to the video. So, it's obvious that Ganondorf is returning in the sequel due to the trailer, but Ganondorf seems to be in a decaying, less than savory state. And also, it's worth noting that his appearance is similar to the several Sheikah monks that had been waiting thousands of years at the end of each shrine in Breath of the Wild, that maybe there is some correlation with their shared condition. The Sheikah monks did seem to be weakened by the process that kept them alive for all those centuries. And even though most seemed to disintegrate after they fulfilled their duty, they were not completely powerless. Monk Mask Hoshia showed Link probably the toughest battle in the whole game, and Ganondorf is undoubtedly more powerful and resilient than any Sheikah monk. Although Ganondorf's plan is likely to seize Hyrule, like it always is, I bet that returning to a more complete form is probably his main goal, and I'm sure that more power comes with his complete revival, which would only make it more likely for him to succeed in his conquest for the land of Hyrule. And he already seemed to take control of Hyrule Castle right away by lifting it into the air, Ocarina of Time style. But how could he possibly return to normal? Well, I think looking at clues from certain mysteries of Breath of the Wild, the sequel trailer, and past titles might steer us in the right direction. One possibility that comes to mind has to do with the mysterious green hand that seemingly kept him at bay for centuries. The hand seems like it's magic or technology, maybe a combination of the two, which is foreign to anything we've seen before. It definitely has a different aesthetic than the Sheikah technology and any divine magic that's been depicted in the previous Zelda games. So, the source of this power is definitely an unknown factor that we haven't seen before. It very well could be a new type of magic or ancient tribe, such as the Zonai, which has been mentioned before by many other Z-tubers. There are some Zonai symbols in the trailers, and that was one of the many unanswered mysteries that Breath of the Wild unveiled to us, and it seems lately like Nintendo has listened to what the fans of the series do and don't like, and take those opinions into consideration when developing remakes and new games. And the green hand seems to be an ally of Link, grabbing his arm and saving him from falling. And also it looks like in the second trailer, it fuses onto his malice engulfed arm, possibly saving him? Or slowing down the effects of the malice. And definitely looks like imbuing him with different abilities. And it's possible that this magic is responsible for Ganondorf's current state, and only this Zonai, or whatever foreign magic it may be, can revoke this magical binding. Though this is a unique take on Ganondorf, the Zelda series is no stranger to this type of circumstance. Minions of Ganondorf have tried to perform certain rituals, like dark rites, or sacrifices to revive him or set him free on Hyrule. Like in the Oracle series, Twin Rova commands Sorceress Varen and General Onyx, the Dark Demon, to plague the lands of Holodrum and Labrynna, to light the flames of sorrow, despair, and destruction, and sacrifice Zelda to resurrect Ganon. They fail ultimately, but still end up with a mindless, raging Ganon. And in the trailer, it's insinuated that he already may have a hold of Zelda, which might be a big part of him trying to regain his full power and become whole again. The malice seems to try to engulf Link in the trailer, and although it's definitely in Ganondorf's nature to attack Link, maybe Link is the missing link. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Maybe Link and Zelda are the recipe for him to become completely revived. Maybe whatever the reason Link and Zelda were investigating the cavern that Ganondorf was in was part of his plan to trap them both. There is a story thread that may lend credence to this theory. In the NES sequel to The Legend of Zelda, The Adventure of Link, where Ganon's minions were trying to sacrifice the hero who defeated Ganon, Link pours blood on Ganon's ashes to revive him. And technically, this Link did defeat a version of Ganon. It's even possible that even though this wasn't the true Ganon, it would still suffice as long as he sacrificed the one who possessed the spirit of the hero, who shares a connection with past Links who have fought and defeated Ganon. There have also been other ways that Ganon has achieved a more powerful form before, by absorbing and fusing with another powerful entity. In A Link Between Worlds, Yuga craved absolute power, so he devised a plan which ended up fusing himself with Ganon, bringing the Demon King back full force. It also happened in Age of Calamity with Aster the Prophet of Doom. Becoming careless and blind with ambition of power, Aster tried to control Calamity Ganon, which inevitably turned out bad for him when Calamity Ganon absorbed him and achieved a more full and powerful form. So maybe Ganon is looking for another evil entity to absorb their power. I know this could be stretching, but there have been a few symbols resembling the demon Vadi's eye. Maybe, somehow Vadi has returned and has made an alliance with Ganondorf, who will undoubtedly betray him and use him to achieve a greater power. Although unlikely, he has in a way teamed up with Vadi before, in Four Swords Adventures. Speaking of Four Swords Adventures, in that game a reincarnated Ganondorf was able to gain more demonic power and transform into Ganon with a Trident, which was Ganon's weapon in past games like A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, even though they take place on completely different timelines, and even though Four Swords Adventure's spot on the timeline is kinda shaky. But that's a topic for a whole other video. Maybe Ganondorf will regain his former state by finding a powerful artifact such as the Trident of Power. It's even possible that's the reason we don't see the Master Sword after the first trailer in the opening scene where Ganondorf seems to break free from his seal. Maybe he needs its power. In this shot where Link's arm is engulfed in malice, could it be that the malice is trying to get a hold of the Master Sword? You can briefly see the hilt in this frame, and afterwards you never see Link with the Master Sword again. Perhaps Ganondorf is using its divine power or its time manipulation powers to become whole again. It's even possible that somehow Ganondorf has become aware that this was the blade that absorbed Demise, who he shares a connection with due to the curse that eternally recycles the trio of Zelda, Link, and Ganon. There do seem to be a lot of parallels with Skyward Sword in the trailer to Breath of the Wild sequel. It seems a little coincidental that they released Skyward Sword HD around the same time as the sequel trailer. And out of all the connections from past games that Breath of the Wild made, it seems Skyward Sword had the most. So it's not too far-fetched that in some way this game may connect to the lore of Skyward Sword. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So, what do you guys think? Do you think Ganondorf will be able to become whole again? And how? Let me know your theories in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video so you don't miss out on any new Zelda content like this. See you soon.